I was like, I cannot picture this. How does this work? I don't understand. Painfully adorable, just very idiotic. And try to put 2 and 2 fucking together. Well, hello. Welcome back to my channel. Joshana here to talk about some friggin' books. This is, I'm gonna have to break this up into 2 videos, I think. The books I read in February. I did talk about one previously, A Tyranny of Queens. I did technically finish in the beginning of February. I don't think I started in February though. Yeah, all the ones today are gonna be books from February, and then there will be kind of like February part 2 later. The first one up is a NetGalley e-arc, The Truth of the Aleke by Moses Oze Utomi. And this one is book 2 of a novella series. The first one was The Truth of the Ajungo, right? Yes, The Truth of the Ajungo. Or no, The Lies of the Ajungo. And then this is The Truth of the Aleke. That's what it is. The summary is hundreds of years after the story from the first novella. We are following Osi, a teenage boy in the City of Truth who dreams of being a truth seeker like his heroes. But the fear of the Aleke looms over their lives, and after accidentally falling into becoming something of a hero of the city, Osi is on a path to learn what the actual truths of their world are. So this is definitely dealing with themes of kind of history and the truth or falsification of history, either just through, you know, the sands of time, things changing, or things being purposefully manipulated, as far as telling people the story of what happened back in the day, what the history is, and just how the truth can get very altered and manipulated and also just watered down over time. Definitely kind of having conversations of how power can corrupt, difficult choices being made for the greater good, whatever you think that is, or being made for more power also in some cases, and kind of a just general conversation of allowing our moral compass to blind us or make us very, very gullible if we think we are being told the truth. If we believe, if someone makes it seem like this big truth is being revealed to us and we want to believe the truth, and so we do, and then it's wrong. So rereadability on this one, I don't think I would reread it. And I kind of felt similarly about the first one too, the Lies of the Ajungo, where I liked it, but I wasn't in love with it. I do think I liked the first one better. I know I liked the first one a little bit better. The characters here, that was the biggest thing for me. Osi is really the only character that we get to know, the main character. And it's a novella that feels like a novella, which maybe sounds dumb or like, yeah, duh, Joshana, like they should feel like a novella. But do you know what I mean? Like sometimes a novella feels complete. And there are times where I want more, but just because I liked it so much, right? A novella that I'm like, this felt complete and like it's whole, complete story, but like I would take more in this world, versus a novella where I'm like, I want more because I feel like I didn't get enough, you know? And like this felt like a novel, or I forgot it was a novella for a minute, versus, yeah, this felt like a novella all the way through where I was getting clipped information. And that's kind of the case here for me personally. Just a little bit too abbreviated with the character work and character development overall. And I can appreciate certain elements of Osi's character, like his deep desire to know the truth and to know what is right based on the truth. And to know, you know, what is wrong, and like just sometimes being a little bit naive because of that. But he was just way too oblivious one too many times for me. Like, without kind of spoiling anything, there's a part where his like best friend is being very cagey in a conversation and like very clearly trying to tell him like, hey, you don't know something about some people that you're kind of interacting with, and like I've learned more about them and you should be a little bit afraid of them. And then you are seeing and acknowledging your friend being afraid, and in the book Osi did, he's like, wow, she's being weird, she looks terrified. Like, maybe assess this, maybe reflect on this, maybe think about this for a minute and think, I wonder why. And try to put 2 and 2 fucking together instead of just being like, she's being kind of weird. I don't know what her deal is. All right, bye. See you later. Hope all's well. Like, that's pretty much what he did in my perception of it. Like, just very idiotic. I know I'm the reader and I have more information, but at that point, we really didn't. Like, at that point, we as the reader, we weren't being told any secret information that, like, OC didn't have or that anyone else didn't have. So all we knew is, like, he's talking and hanging out with these people, and then his friend, he happened across her, and she's like, hey, they're sketchy, and you should be afraid. Like, anyone would be like, oh, my best friend, like, my childhood best friend is telling me this. I should assess this. I should figure this out. And he just didn't. And it wasn't his desire for being right and being good, making him gullible, that, like, got on my nerves. It was those types of just completely idiotic and oblivious moments, like, where it felt like too much, right? Like, I get someone being a little bit gullible and, like, wanting to believe, but, like, then when you are confronted with more information, think about that information. Like, you shouldn't have to have something literally, like, smack you in the face as the truth to be able to suss out the truth. I guess that's why it bothered me. And I did enjoy the plot overall here. Again, it just felt a little bit too abridged in certain parts with the plot also, and, like, the pacing. Various parts where, rather than the pacing just being like, we're doing stuff quick, we're moving, da-da-da, it felt, like, rushed and, like, cut down. I really hope that this author plans to do a full-length novel sometime, because it's like, while I haven't fully loved these 2 novellas, I liked the first one a little bit better, but I don't think I might have given it 4 stars, but I don't think I did. But at any rate, I haven't, like, given it 5 stars or anything, but I think that I would really, really like a full-length novel from this author, because I do like the plot and the world, and kind of, it's like I like where they're going with certain character things, but then I just feel like it doesn't fully get where I wish it did, you know? So I ended up giving this 3.25 stars, which isn't a bad rating, but just isn't, wow, oh my god, I love it so much. Next, I picked up The Very Secret Society of Irregular Witches by Sangu Mandanna, and I listened to this, I think, exclusively on audio. Did I start reading it physically? I don't think I did. I think I did audio entirely. So why did I buy the physical book? I don't know. I think I got it used though, so that's good at least. Summary for this one is, it's our world, but witches are real, though quite rare still. And Mika is our main character, and she is one of these very few and far between witches who has been taught the importance of keeping her magic hidden and very secretive, and not spending too much time with other witches, because the magic is basically like, they're like magnets for magic. So when there's too many witches in one place, there's too much magic in that place, and it gets unwieldy and uncontrollable, and crazy shit happens. So can't have too many witches in one place. And Mika, though, is posting videos online posing as a witch, and catches the attention of a few folks who seek her out for services to tutor some young witches who are under their care, and things ensue from here. Themes here, stuff that kind of we're talking about in this book: found family, for sure, absolutely. A lot of, like, healing childhood trauma conversations as well, and the importance of connection and community is definitely a running theme throughout as well. And this one, I also, rereadability, I don't think I would ever reread it. I liked it. I wasn't particularly enamored with this one, which I know is, like, sacrilege because everybody, like, loves it. But I don't know, I thought it was fine, mostly. For the characters, like, everyone was likable, who was supposed to be likable, which was most of them. And their relationship dynamics were really sweet and, like, cute, you know, heartwarming. I just didn't feel anything deeper than that toward them. I was like, yeah, this is cute, I guess. I just didn't, like, I didn't feel gripped by it. I didn't feel like my heartstrings were being, like, fully tugged on, you know? And the plot also, I mean, the overall plot kept my interest. I like the pacing was good, and I was listening to it pretty quickly. But once again, there just wasn't anything really grabbing me to draw me in deeper than, yeah, this is cool. I did like the audiobook. I thought the narrator was really good, and I don't recall who the narrator is, but I liked them. I see so many people, you know, have a comp title for this of House in the Cerulean Sea. And I completely understand that, like, comparison, because cute, heartwarming, you know, magical children, magical orphaned children being cared for by kind, warm adult, or adults in this case, you know, in like an orphanage type of place, or, you know, a home for them. And then someone from the outside coming into this little existing kind of family unit, and, you know, things ensue, and like romance ensues as well. This one just, it was way more focused on the romance between Mika and a character than House in the Cerulean Sea. Like, House in the Cerulean Sea, the romance is there, and like, it's so cute, but it's completely on the back burner. It's 100% on the back burner. The kids are so much more the focus of House in the Cerulean Sea, and I think that's why, like, it just worked better for me and, like, was more heartwarming and adorable. But also, though, even the romance, like, even though the romance in House in the Cerulean Sea is very much on the back burner and is not the focal point like it is here, I still like that romance better. Like, it still was so, like, cute, like, painfully adorable, and just like, oh my god. And I just think it's the writing, like, the way that TJ Klune wrote that book, his writing style, his authorial voice, it just like tugged on, it yanked on my heartstrings. Whereas in this, it's not like I think it was badly written, it's just this author's voice just doesn't do that for me. It's like, oh yeah, cute, oh that's sweet, that's cute, like, yeah. I get it. I get why people would like it. If the voice, like, does tug on your heartstrings more, like, obviously you're going to be like, oh my god, it's so adorable. I just was like, yeah, it was fine. I ended up giving this one 3.5 stars. So, you know, a respectable rating, for sure, especially for me, but not an all-time fave by any means. Next, I picked up Maisy Dobbs by Jacqueline Winspear. This is a bind-up. The book is not this big. This is a bind-up of the first 2 books of the Maisy Dobbs series. So yeah, I just read the first one. But summary of this is, it is an introduction to Maisy Dobbs, who is a psychologist investigator from humble beginnings, who is something of a prodigy and also actually kind of psychic, it would seem, as she begins her own investigator business. Investigation business? Whatever. Like, private investigator. And she has one of her first cases of kind of, what's my wife up to? This guy paying her to find out what his wife is doing all day, and it leads Maisie to a much bigger mystery to solve and brings up some not so fun memories of her time as a Red Cross nurse during World War I. Very much historical fiction mystery, historical mystery, whatever. Themes here, definitely trauma. We are talking a lot about trauma, specifically like war trauma, like soldiers that have been to war and like PTSD from that, and just various mental health struggles from that, as well as disability. Disabilities coming from that, and then like the trauma of now being disabled suddenly from a violent act, and just all of that stuff is like very much a big conversation we're having throughout this book. Rereadability, most of the time mysteries aren't especially rereadable for me, and this is no exception. For the characters, I did enjoy the characters. Billy is my favorite by far. I love Billy. I just didn't feel particularly engaged with the characters, really. Maisie is definitely a bit of a Mary Sue, for sure. But then also towards the end, we get some information about her and like something she has done, basically. And it kind of left me feeling like she's not a very good person. And then the mystery also, like the plot there, it was kind of predictable. I don't want to spoil anything, but like there's this thing we learn about, a place we learn about, and like kind of as soon as you learn about this place and you hear it's almost like too much information was given right up front. Like the first time you heard about this place and like some of the stuff, it's like very shady. And you're like, that's freaking shady. And it seems like XYZ is probably happening. And like, yup, that's what was happening. Like it just wasn't very like subtle at all. It wasn't subtle in the slightest as far as the foreshadowing. It wasn't even foreshadowing. It was just like telling you up front, this is suspicious and here's why. And you're like, yep. And checks out. So I'm really hoping, I think I'm going to try the second book at least. I mean, I have the bind up. I might as well just to kind of see if maybe it was just kind of first book. This first one though, I gave 3 stars. Very middle of the road. Next, I picked up The Black God's Drums by Djeli Clark. I had this one on my TBR for 2018. So yeah, year after I joined BookTube. And I'm pretty sure I've had it on my TBR since then. But I had just recently picked up The Dead Cattail Assassins, and I just like didn't love it. So I was like, you know, I love Ring Shout so much. I liked the other novellas from the Master of Jinn world. I didn't love Master of Jinn, the novel, the full-length novel though. And like, I didn't really love Dead Cattail Assassins. Like, let me just pick up another one and see if I can get kind of more of a consensus on overall, like if Ring Shout was just kind of completely a fluke a little bit. So I decided to finally pick up this one, and I did not do my own summary, so I'll just read you the synopsis. Creeper, a scrappy young teen, is done living on the streets of New Orleans. Her sights are set on securing passage aboard Captain Anne Marie's smuggler airship, earning the captain's trust using a secret about a kidnapped Haitian scientist and a mysterious weapon he calls the Black God's Drums. But Creeper keeps another secret close to her heart. Oya, the African Orisha of wind and storms, who speaks inside her head and grants her divine powers. And Oya has her own priorities. Very cool premise, kind of an alternate history, New Orleans. Rereadability? No, I don't really see myself rereading this one. Because I enjoyed the characters overall. I liked the characters and I felt a little bit more like invested in them than I did in Dead Cattail Assassins, for sure. But nowhere near like Ring Shout, where I just immediately was like, I love these characters, oh my god. So yeah, so this was just kind of somewhere in the middle with how invested I felt in the characters. But I did enjoy it. They were interesting. And the plot was also interesting and fun. I had a good enough time with the plot. It was clearly moving along very quickly, very novella-esque in that regard, just like we're trucking along. But this kind of did just feel like a little sneak peek into this larger world. It's a pretty interesting world. So I just think it worked a little bit better as far as novellas go. I really, sometimes I'm like, should I just stop trying to read novellas? Because usually I'm like, felt like a novella, I don't care that much. But I feel like this one like did that a little bit better for me, where, yeah, it's a novella, yeah, it was short, yeah, like we were kind of clipping along, but it still felt like a complete story. It just felt like a little, like episodic. It felt like a little episode, you know, in this world. I overall enjoyed it. I just didn't love it. I gave it 3.5 stars. So there's that. And it's like really short. Yeah, it's like 100 pages or something. Next up is the first DNF I had for February. But the book in question is Escaping Exodus by Nicky Drayden. This is another one that I've had kind of on my radar for a while. I've seen a decent amount of people pick this one up. And I actually did not realize it was young adult, which I probably should have paid more attention to that. This one it's a standalone novel in which the fate of humanity rests on the shoulders of an idealistic and untested young woman. Earth is a distant memory. Habitable extrasolar planets are still out of reach. For generations, humanity has survived by establishing colonies within enormous vacuum-breathing space beasts and mining their resources to the point of depletion. We have Seske Kali, who should be preparing for her future as clan leader, but they're in their latest beast, and there's violent tremors plaguing their new home. She teams up with her best friend, who is a beast worker, who's like lower on the totem pole, searching for answers. Instead, they discover grim truths about the price of life in the void, and so on and so forth. Things ensue from there. I got 36% into This one, and I was reading through it quickly enough. It's one of these DNFs where I'm like, it wouldn't take me that much longer to finish it probably. But just as per usual with sci-fi a lot of the time, and it definitely was happening here, I was getting too bogged down with like the technical stuff, and it pulls me out of the story, and I don't know why, because I can read fantasy where we're talking about dragons and freaking elves and like made up stuff, and my brain just is like, that's made up, we're going along with it. But when it comes to sci-fi stuff, even completely made up, like they're living in a beast that's floating through space, like just think of it as fantasy, Deshauna. But like I end up with so many questions. This one in particular, like living inside of this gigantic creature, like I was like, I cannot picture this. How does this work? I don't understand. And I just, like, how does this beast not immediately die when they, like, penetrate its skin, burrow into it? I don't even know. I wasn't clear on even how all of that works, like, how they get inside of it and how it doesn't die with all these people crawling around inside of it all the time. I have no idea. And also, the cultural elements were interesting here. They have a matriarchy, and they have kind of very complex marriage structures, but I also don't feel like it was explained clearly enough. Again, I had no idea what all the there was like different mothers and fathers, and they have like names like Will Father, Will Mother, and like this one and that one. And I'm 36% in, and I was like, I'm very unclear on like what these titles mean and what each one does. And then also, again, young adult, just the characters being teenagers and behaving like teenagers. You know, I'm not saying it's like the book is bad or the author wrote them poorly. They're teenagers, and like I find them very annoying sometimes. And annoying to like read from their perspective, where I'm like, oh my God, I can't with you, like, Jesus Christ. Like, they're very goal-oriented and determined, but also reckless as all hell. In certain cases with the main character, truly idiotically reckless. Like, we're just like, are you stupid? And she would literally be basically in her head being like, this decision is going to be a bad idea. It's going to be terrible. I'm aware of this, but fuck it. Let's do it anyway. And then later be like, dang, that was kind of dumb, huh? Yeah, bitch, you said it would be kind of dumb. You knew it would be kind of dumb. Like, what are you talking about? At any rate, yeah, just wasn't working for me. I can definitely see a lot of people really enjoying this because it was like fascinating. And if you really like sci-fi, if like sci-fi is your jam, I would say check it out because it is like really, really cool and interesting premise and like world and all of that. I just was getting way too bogged down with like, I don't understand. And I think that will be all for this video. Round 1 of the February recent reads. If you have read any of these, let me know what your thoughts were down below or if you're intrigued by any of them, even though there wasn't any in this round that I really loved. There were some that were like, yeah, okay, it's cool, but nothing that was blowing me out of the water. February was kind of like that. February was I started off strong with Tyranny of Queens being 5 stars, all-time fave, but it just was very middling. Very, very middling for most of February. So, yeah, that happens sometimes. As always, thank you so much for your time. Hope you all have a wonderful day, and I'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.